guys, I'm Sage Valentine. Let's get down to this review of tonight's episode of Fox's Scream Queens. This is episode 11. So, I was correct when I thought that Pete was one of the killers, because I had this weird sneaking suspicion, for those of you that are just watching my reviews for the first time, that there had to be more than one killer. I didn't buy that there was one, I didn't buy that there were two, and I sure didn't buy that there were three. So now we learn that there are four killers. Well, half of them are dead, but anyway. Gigi. And another thing about that scene. Now, the Red Devil could have just shot Chanel square in the middle of her chest and killed her, but she or he decided to shoot her in the shoulder, which makes me think that whoever this Red Devil is, they care about Chanel. Not to say that said person was not going to kill Chanel before Denise, who apparently somehow, some way moved up on the employment ladder again and became the chief of police, appeared. But still, something in that scene was a little bit off to me. Also, so let's talk about the mall scene. Now, one of two things happened in that scene, in my opinion. Either Chanel found a way to get that mall locked down so that she and the other Chanels could shop alone in peace, or Chanel was shopping with other people and most of the people had gone home, and security did their last little go round and turned off all the lights, locked the doors, and just left. And it just so happened that the Red Devil took advantage of the situation. All I know is that that situation was a little bit weird, and there had to be more than one Red Devil involved in that, because one was standing on the carousel and the other one was outside, unless I was seeing things. Also, as far as Chanel getting shot in the shoulder, now, I've never used a crossbow. I don't know how to even aim it. But I can tell you that the Red Devil, when they want to kill somebody, they're pretty good at killing them. So why did that Red Devil just decide to shoot her in the shoulder? I mean, some will say that they tried to shoot her there to stop her from running, but still, like, they could have, like, shot her right in the chest and she would have been done. But thank goodness for Denise, and that is one lucky lady. She went from being the security guard to the Kappa House mother, and now she is the chief of police. That town is a mess between that bumbling detective and now Denise as the chief of police. I swear, Scream Queens is so crazy and so hilarious, and Niecy Nash just cracks me up every single time. And she had the Red Devil, like he or she was right there, and she started running her mouth, and the Red Devil pulled the Christmas tree down and took off running. I was screaming. It was too funny. The Dean is many things in this series, but a Red Devil killer she is not. And judging by the amount of blowfish venom that was poured into that mason jar, the Dean should have died after taking her first sip. So that leads me to believe, number one, the girls probably mixed up those mason jars with the apple cider in it, or Hester didn't give her blowfish venom. I know some of you guys are probably like, Sage, but it seemed like she did. Yeah, but maybe that could have been a red herring. Because, you know, Hester is a little bit suspect, and quite a few viewers think that she could be the Red Devil killer, though. I don't know. Could be. Also, when the girls tried to kill the Dean via the cryogenic chamber, because she was supposed to stay in there, I think, for like 30 minutes or something, or 10 minutes or something, and they were going to keep her in there longer, somehow barricade the door, and then put her in a body bag. Although one of them, I think, brought out a body bag that looked like it was for a squirrel or something, but that plan didn't work out either. So were any of you surprised that the Dean figured out that something was up? And I don't know about you guys, but I think that she was aware of what was going on the moment that Grace and Chanel handed her that homemade apple cider. Also, That whole scene with the Chanel's, particularly Chanel number 5, aggravating that sales associate, cracked me up because of my time working in retail, and there are some customers that are really that crazy. Why she wanted the tags from size 0 to be put on size 4 underwear, despite the fact that, maybe I'm wrong, but didn't what's-her-face, Denise, reveal that she basically wore the same size as Chanel 5? So why would Chanel 5 need a pair of size 4 underwear if the girl wears bigger than a size 4? That situation was weird. Very weird, and brought back a lot of memories for me working in retail. So let's talk about Chad, because you cannot have an episode of Scream Queens without having Chad doing or saying something just crazy to the point where you just start cracking up. But as far as this episode, Chad decided to read Boone's will. Like, he literally left a last will and testament, and why, I don't know. He decided to be his proxy. And at this meeting, obviously, all the Dickie Dollar scholars are dead, save for Chad, which is pretty suspect. Keep that in mind. But Boone decided to leave all of his worldly possessions to Pete, which made me and quite a few other people on social media say, well, why is he leaving it to Pete? Now, instead of Chad realizing that something funny was going on with that, what does Chad think? Obviously that Pete was one of Boone's gay lovers. Poor Chad. Despite the fact that Boone had said he was trying to holler at Zayday, it was still... Oh, poor Chad. Anyways, Pete revealed that Boone was basically his eyes and ears in the fraternity life and the fraternity, and he was basically feeding him information. He was kind of like his Deep Throat. Now, of course, Chad's mind went straight to the gutter, but when Pete was talking about Deep Throat, he's talking about the informant that was in the middle of a scandal called Watergate. If you don't know about Watergate, definitely Google it. But anyway, we learned during the scene that Pete tried to join the Dickie Dollar Scholars and they didn't want him in the group. So I guess Chad, seeing as everybody else in the Dickie Dollar Scholars are dead, decided to allow Pete to join. He asked him, and Pete basically said no. So then Chad decided to challenge him to a duel. And to make a long story short, Pete refused that, and then Chad threatened to murder him to death. Now, it was funny, but it also made me look at Chad differently. Like, is Chad one of these killers? Because I don't recall any of the killers chasing him specifically. Unless, of course, I somehow missed it. Do any of you guys remember that? Because I sure don't. Also, Chad believes that the reason why Pete was stalking Chanel had to do with the fact that the Dickie Dollar Scholars would not allow him to join the fraternity. I know that Chanel explained that situation, but I want to know, why was Pete really stalking her? Was anybody shocked that Grace agreed with Chanel? I know I was, considering how Grace really feels about her, and I know that at times you get into situations with people that you don't like, and sometimes you agree on stuff, but still, to me, that was a little bit weird. Another thing that was weird was how Grace went home and found her dad in the apartment, and Pete just pops up out of nowhere, and they're talking about, oh, we were, exchanging information and comparing information. I'm like, what kind of information? And Pete brings out all this info about Gigi and how Gigi's sister was the one that was present at the tragedy at the Kappa Kappa Tau party, and I guess she was the one holding the baby in the flashback that we saw, and I was confused, as I've always been confused about Pete's character. How does this dude get all this information? Like, I know it's going to take some digging, but how does he have all the answers? Plus, why was her father, Grace's father, acting weird throughout that entire scene. Hell, he was acting weird throughout this episode, but then again, he's always weird. Then there was that scene where Pete and Grace were about to have sex, and Grace kind of stopped, and she was just like, you know, I will feel up to it once the dean is dead. And then Pete was just like, you know what, I don't want you to go along with this because, you know, killing people changes you. And I'm like, now how does he know that killing people changes you unless he's killed somebody? That's when I really realized, like, Pete has got to be one of those killers. But then there was that conversation that Grace had with her father about sex. And her father basically told her, if you don't think you're ready to have sex, then you're not ready. And basically, if I can paraphrase it, he also said to her that if you're not ready and you have sex, then it's not going to be good, or you're probably going to regret it. And I know that I've heard this on a bunch of different television shows over the years, basically. But my thing with that statement is, why doesn't Wes want Grace to have sex with Pete? I know some of you guys are like, Sage, well, what do you mean he's just being a protective father? No. If he was a protective father, he'd give her a reason as to why he doesn't want her to have sex with him. It's like he's going along with the situation a little bit too much, but then again, that could be me being suspicious of Wes, because Wes is seriously a suspicious character, and if he turns out to be one of these killers, like, I'm completely done. So I wonder what Grace is going to do with this new information that she found out about Pete. Is she going to tell Denise, seeing as she's the new chief of police? Or is she going to tell the girls? Or is she going to keep it to herself? Either way, I cannot wait to find out who that female killer is. And next week's episode is going to be a double one. It's going to be crazy, and I will be sitting back with my popcorn, taking my notes, and smiling all the way to the end so that I can do another review, the final review for the season. But you all take care. I'm Sage Valentine. Thank you so much for watching this review, and don't forget to rate this video, leave your comments, let me know what you thought about this episode, the season so far, and who you think the killer is, and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my brand of crazy. I love you all. Bye, guys. Bye.